Mayhem 2, Michael Parenti joined by Mariano Agami, and here we are in our second bout of the evening in the welterweight division. Here comes Stephen Farrar making his pro debut at 35 years young from Natick, Massachusetts. Interestingly enough, on social media, Farrar called for Cian Duggan, his opponent tonight. He wanted the opportunity to fight him and said this was one of the people that he really wanted to match up with. As you take a look at the tail of the tape, well, he's going to get his wish tonight. We'll see what he has in store.
And his opponent, Cian Duggan.
And here is Cian Duggan making the trip all the way from Dublin, Ireland. He has been training on and off in Boston, Mass, training under the guidance of Jay Kelly, former pro boxer from Boston, and Jay Kelly's father, Danny Kelly, who has managed countless fighters in the past in New England. They have a connection to the Irish fighters. They've brought many over from Ireland to fight, and they've brought some to CES here, and they had some on the amateur portion of tonight's show, and now they have Cian Duggan making his pro debut. And boy, Cian's got a great resume, Mariano. If you look at all the amateur accolades, you never know how it's going to translate, but the resume's there.
And he says he has a pro style, so I'm really looking forward to seeing his pro debut, especially against a guy who called him out. Those tend to be good fights because maybe Farrar sees something in Cian.
Who knows, yeah.
But for a European fighter to make his pro debut in the U.S. is a big deal. A lot of them dream of doing it. He's doing it in his first pro bout.
And we'll talk more about this as the fight goes on, that Stephen Farrar does have a very accomplished amateur background himself. It dates back quite some time, not as recently as Cian Duggan, but it's there, and both fighters have stepped in with some pretty quality opponents in the past. And with that, we'll send it up to Pat Sullivan.
This fight is 4 rounds in the welterweight division. Fighting out of the blue corner, he weighed in at 147 pounds. Making his professional debut from Natick, Massachusetts, Steve Farrar. And his opponent, fighting out of the red corner, he weighed in at 144 pounds. Making his highly anticipated professional boxing debut from Dublin, Ireland. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Cian the Dub Duggan! Four rounds in the welterweight division.
We're just about ready to go with bout number 2 here at Mill City Mayhem 2. Melissa Kelly, the official in charge of the action tonight in this bout. Cian Duggan taking on Steve Farrar. We don't know if there's a personal war between these two, but Farrar called out Duggan at some point on social media, and Danny Kelly said, hey, let's make that happen. And a lot of times they say that and it never happens, but here we actually have it happening.
He got his wish. Let's see if it turns out well for him.
Farrar is in the black trunks with the gray trim, Duggan in the black and gold. Now, Duggan, we mentioned, has a extensive amateur background, mostly in Ireland. Farrar, his amateur background dates back to 2010, 2011. Fought Toka Khan in the amateurs in Fall River. Former New England Golden Gloves champion himself. He was actually the 132-pound novice champion in the Southern New England Golden Gloves back in 2010 when he was just 20 years old. So mouthpiece come out.
So he's had a great amateur. He had some great amateur achievements. I wonder why he turned pro so late in his career.
A lot of things can happen, as you know, along the way. We never know if sometimes life gets in the way, let's be honest, and fighters find something else to do and pursue a different career. Cian Duggan seems as serious about this. He's 23, still young, still in the early prime of his career. Obviously for Farrar at 35, it's going to be tough sledding. We'll see if he can make something happen here tonight.
And Mike, it's great to see the kind of support that Irish fighters get when they fight in the U.S., but particularly in New England.
And we'll see if Duggan starts working the body. And not to be insulting, but Farrar a little softer on the midsection. Let's be realistic. That would be an area that I would target if I'm Duggan, and we'll see if he does that. And we don't know Farrar if he had to cut a lot of weight coming into this fight or if he didn't cut a lot of weight, maybe fighting heavier than he would. He did fight at 132 as an amateur, but he's 35 now. It's tougher to make that weight at that age. Duggan so far just peppering him at this point.
He's sticking that jab up to the head and down to the stomach, which takes a lot out of a fighter.
Changing levels is always difficult as the opponent on the receiving end, not knowing if he's going to go upstairs or go back down to the body. But Duggan's established a pretty good pace here in round 1.
He's controlling the fight. Jab is key, but he's landing some great left hands to go with it.
Nice little jab there by Farrar.
Overhand left just landed for Cian.
Cian just seems a tick faster. That's a big factor, obviously. The foot speed and the hand speed
He's
factor.
very sharp.
Yeah.
Very sharp.
20 seconds to go here in round one. Farrar really has just been in defensive mode for most of this round. Farrar charging in there with a couple of rights and lefts at the bell, but a good opening round for Cian Duggan, who looks sharp, boxing circles around his opponent. Now, if you're Farrar, you really got to get something going here. It's only a 4-round fight. You can't fall behind in the cards too much. If you're Farrar, it may be time to just go for broke here in round two, get aggressive and see what you can do.
I think it's time to empty the tank if he can and see what he can do against Cian.
Clearly, Cian obviously comfortable in this position here. He will box in this rhythm the whole night if he has to and get the W and not really have to put the foot to the pedal much to try to get him out of there. Now, it depends. Sometimes as a pro debut, you feel that pressure, Mariano. As you know, a lot of people come to see you fight for the first time. They want to see you end with a splash, a big knockout, something that's a highlight reel victory. And sometimes fighters feel pressure to do that, and it gets them out of their rhythm a little bit. But Cian looks sharp and composed. You know, he's 23. He's had a lot of amateur experience. And as you mentioned, he's got that pro style. So he seems like more of the fighter who will take his time and let this come to him if it does come to him eventually and not try to seek it out.
He looks more seasoned than you would think, right, for a pro debut. Very poised. Very different pro debut than Christian Mara had.
Sure.
Because Farrar is just not as aggressive as Cox was.
No, that's a great point. He didn't have an opponent come flying at him in the first 15 seconds of the fight where he had to make a quick adjustment. I think he knows the opponent well. It seems like they know each other from the fact that one called out the other. So there's a little more familiarity there, which probably makes it easier for Duggan to just pick him apart at this point. But we'll see if Farrar snaps at some point and comes forward and tries to get something going. He's going to have to start soon.
And I wonder whether Duggan took it a little personally, right, that he got called out for his pro debut. Duggan really digging some shots to the body here.
Yeah, again, Duggan just working the body, changing levels, going back upstairs. Farrar at this point, really through most of the first round and a half, has been a sitting target.
He seems limited to throwing one or two shots and then just waiting. And Duggan is really capitalizing on that. He can fight at his pace, and it looks like he really could hurt him whenever he wants to, if he wants to hit the accelerator.
And that's the thing, too. Sometimes a fighter, if you're employing the strategy that Farrar is employing, maybe you're a better counterpuncher. We don't know enough about Farrar to know if we can make that claim or not. And we have to really see a little more action to make that determination. But right now, he's not really thrown back as Duggan comes in. And Duggan's getting in and out quickly. One or two shots, get back out on the outside on the perimeter and just continue to outbox him.
And Farrar hasn't been hurt by anything yet. So it might just be a matter of not realizing that Duggan was better than Farrar thought.
We mentioned the age gap a lot, but with age gaps come speed gaps and certainly conditioning. Nice combination there by Duggan. Boxing well on angles, too. Doing a really nice job here through the first 1 round plus. Going back downstairs on Farrar. Double right hook. And like you said, Farrar doesn't seem phased or hurt, but he's losing the fight on the cards. And that's ultimately the most important thing.
It's just not active enough here.
No.
And it looks like it's a matter of time at this point before the fight ends.
I think so, too. And a lot of times, if this were a longer fight, a 6-round fight, an 8-round fight, if you had an opponent or your fighter is taking that kind of punishment, even if it doesn't look like it's hurting, it's just sustained damage that you do not need to take. You will see a corner throw in the towel. We've seen that in the past with Paulie Malignaggi, who I forget the opponent, but was just taking a constant pounding for 7-8 rounds. He said, listen, he's got no shot of winning this fight. We're going to pull the plug on it.
Absolutely.
Farrar taking a nice stiff jab to the body there by Duggan. And there's the final bell for round 2. So Farrar not doing much here to get anything going. Duggan just doing what he does. And if I'm Duggan, as we take a look at some of the replay action, I don't feel a real sense of urgency to do anything differently than what I'm doing now.
It really looks to me like he could end this fight whenever he decides to. But you only make your pro debut once. He's probably feeling it out, making sure that everything is just right.
Yeah, I'm always on the fence about getting rounds. Ray and I have talked about this a lot of times. Pro debut fighters, sometimes your first 4 or 5 fights, like a Jadel Pazmino, for example, he's only fought 7 rounds in his career. He's fought 7 times. So at what point do you get some work in? And you really do want that at a certain point. You get to 7-0 and 8-0, you need to see if you can absorb damage. You need to see if you can adjust to an opponent's style after a 3rd or 4th round. So Duggan kind of getting some early work here, going at least 2 rounds and maybe 3. I like to see that. I know the knockouts look great, but I think there's a benefit to both.
I like to see that as well. I think it's good to see how a fighter maintains his energy or not through the course of a fight. And Duggan is looking just as sharp right now as he did in the first round.
So referee Melissa Kelly gives some words of encouragement to Farrar, perhaps telling him, pick up the pace, I need to see something, which a referee will often do. Kind of give him a precursor warning. If I don't see something here, I'm just going to pull the plug. So we'll see if Farrar picks it up. He's down 2 rounds here to Duggan. Once again, Michael Parenti, Mariano Agami joining us, we thank you for, on Swerve Combat. Mill City Mayhem 2. Mouthpiece again comes out. Second time that's happened. Well, we're not going to clean it off. Going right back in.
Wow.
It's like a child's pacifier right off the floor and target. Duggan gets back to work. 1 minute into round number 3. This one's scheduled for 4. We'll see if it goes for. Right now, it's all Cian Duggan, Mariano. I mean, it's the same story from round 1 to round 3.
The little that Farrar throws, he seems to miss.
Well, we got a little timeout here. We have a ring malfunction. So the logo taped down on the ring. One side of the tape came off. Great job by Melissa Kelly. Ripped that strip right off and got out of the ring. Good job.
Wasted
no time at all. We'll see if the ring crew comes back in and flattens that out. Could be a tripping hazard at some point, so that is important.
Sure. Duggan landed a couple of nice right hooks just now.
It's jabbed to the body by Duggan. Farrar tried to come in, he missed, and then got spun around, and then Duggan made him pay for it with a couple of quick combinations there against the ropes. Farrar looks like he's kind of laughing at him, like he doesn't think it's much, but he's not winning the fight, so it's not a laughing matter in the end when the bell rings.
No, he's about to be down 3-0 here.
Nice combination again by Duggan.
Duggan is starting to turn some very clean shots.
Oh, and you mentioned too, Mariano, that if a fighter calls you out, it is personal. You would definitely take that personal. It's as if you're saying I can be beat.
That's right.
And so maybe at some point Duggan will give him what he is hoping for, and maybe he will put that foot to the pedal, and we'll see if he turns it up here, and could be coming at the end of round 3, maybe in round 4 trying to close this out in style. But I think you're right. I think it looks like he is starting to pick it up a little more there. Nice clean 2-punch combo there.
Very sharp punches.
Farrar at the very least gets out of the corner, but he's about to be backed into another one. And now some shots are really starting to land here. Farrar in some trouble as he's covering up against the ropes. Melissa Kelly's on the outside. She's about ready to step in here and put an end to this.
Time here.
I don't think Farrar's got much left, and that's going to do it. Melissa Kelly wisely steps in and stops this one. Cian Duggan turns up the pressure and gets a knockout victory. Just a great performance.
You know, Mike, it's like we were saying, once Cian decided that he wanted to end matters, he did.
So Cian Duggan with the victory in his pro debut. Here's a look at the replay. You see the referee just waiting. Farrar not showing much, just covering up to try not to absorb more damage, and in the end, a good stoppage, an appropriate fitting stoppage to this fight, as Cian Duggan really dominated from the opening bell.
He landed some hellacious shots there at the end. Mike, it'll be interesting to see how far a guy like Duggan can go. You know, we've had other Irish fighters come to the U.S. with mixed level of success.
Sure.
But Duggan has an opportunity here to really improve his brand both in the U.S. and Ireland, which he says he wants to fight in both countries.
And that's certainly not uncommon at all. He may fly back to Dublin tomorrow and get some pro fights out there. And next time he's in town, if CES or anybody else is running a show, you may see him right back here in New England again. So it's a good opportunity to stay busy. If you're always ready, you will have opportunities. And Cian Duggan will have plenty in store for him. Great job in his pro debut tonight. And with that, we're going to send it back up to our ring announcer, Pat Sullivan, with the particulars.
You good? Round 3, yep. Come on, Ding. Ladies and gentlemen, the fight comes to an end at 2 minutes and 43 seconds of round number 3. For your winner by TKO, Cian Duggan!
There it is, 2:40 into round number 3. Cian Duggan with the victory in his professional debut, finishing off Steve Farrar. With that, we'll send it back up to Pat Sullivan, who I believe has our winner.
Your winner. Big TKO win tonight for Cian. This has been a long time coming, getting you in here as a professional. How's this moment feel?
Best moment that I had in boxing. A big thanks to Jay Kelly, big thanks to Dan Kelly. And a big thanks to Mr. Boots for having me on this show. I told you last Saturday he's having a superstar, and I just proved it there.
Now, your nickname is the Dub, probably because you're from Dublin, but tonight the Dub means a big win. Why don't we thank all of our fans who came out here tonight to support you, because you had a lot of people out here rooting for you.
Thank you very much for our people. Early debut, Ireland forever.
All right, congratulations to your winner by 3rd round TKO, Cian the Dub Duggan!
So the Dub gets the dub in his first pro fight. Cian Duggan with the victory, 3rd round knockout over Stephen Farrar to improve to 1-0. Farrar dropping to 0-1 also in his pro debut. Don't go anywhere. We've got plenty more to come here on Swerve Combat. Stay tuned.